Apparently, this won't record properly on the Nvidia overlay, which is weird because this was developed with Nvidia. The game was developed with Nvidia. So, yeah, this will just be an audio review. I will just place a placeholder image of the in-game of an in-game image because it actually looks really good in my opinion. I like the art style of the game. So yeah, is The Witcher 1 Enhanced Edition good for casual gaming? I would say no, but this is mainly because of the genre. It's an RPG, a classic RPG, where you have to do a lot of things. It's not that it's not welcoming to new players. It's just that there are a lot of decisions to be made, and it's not really a straightforward game. So let me elaborate. First, the story. The story is good. I would say it's fairly average. It's not a bad story, but it's also not something to write home about. It's quite engaging. Because even though the story, I would say, is quite average, the everything that comes along with it, the decisions, the relationships that you build with the other characters within the game is very engaging in my opinion. So yeah, I don't really, I won't really consider having an average story in basically any game as something that's detrimental to it, unless the best thing about the game is that it is the story itself. Then you would have problems with The Witcher. With The Witcher 1 Enhanced Edition, I would say that the best aspect to it is the RPG mechanic. It's something that I believe there's not that many games doing it anymore. Maybe I'm not sure. I really need to play other RPG games to make that comparison. But yeah, I do hear that a lot of RPGs don't do like branching decisions anymore, or at least the decisions don't no longer affect the game itself or how the story progresses. So that's a bit of a bummer. But yeah, I have nothing to compare it to, so I would just say, yeah, I love this type of RPG, where your decisions matter. So yeah, the story, again, fairly average, but the gameplay works very well, in my opinion. There are a lot of interactions with NPCs, with the side characters. You do really feel that, you're communicating with them. The fact that you can heal yourself through meditation in their houses really builds up that sort of relationship. It's very engaging. The side quests are very good as well. There are very interesting side quests where there was this one in the swamp area where there is a cannibal eating some people, and there has been rumors about it. And I found this cannibal, and then I believe you can choose whether or not to kill him. It does acknowledge that it is wrong, but he does try to justify his horrible actions by saying that he doesn't eat children, which you still eat people. That's still very wrong. And the swamp area is very difficult. By the way, I played this on hard mode, so maybe it's a lot easier on normal or easy. I'm not sure if there's an easy mode, but yeah, I played it on the hardest difficulty. So the swamp area really is difficult even during the end game. There are just far too many enemies. The monsters in the area are it's just teeming with monsters all around, and I hate the huge plant that sprouts from the ground. It's very annoying. It has a very long range, and it's quite difficult to kill even with a full-powered Igni strike. We'll get to the signs later. So yeah, side quests are very good. I chose not to kill the cannibal because he offered to provide shelter, which I need because the swamp area is it's quite big and quite difficult to traverse. It's not as open as other, or I would say it's not clear all the time to me where I can go in the swamp area and where I can't go because, yeah, it's the foliage, the forest itself, very confusing for me as compared to the designs of a city. So I think that's more, deliberate because, well, it is a forest. So yeah, I didn't kill the cannibal because I needed refuge in that particular area. It's quite far from the town or where the townspeople are who can provide you those necessities. But throughout the swamp area, there are campfires where you can meditate to heal yourself as well. Next would be the RPG mechanic, which I already kind of discussed anyway. So yeah, the RPG mechanic. Your decisions matter in the game. You can't do all the missions in one run because some missions would be blocked out once you make a certain decision. So this is the type of game where you can do a second playthrough and just do a different decision or just choose the different path. For example, there is the conflict between the Scoia'tael and the Order of the Flaming Rose. So the Scoia'tael are these elves who are rebelling against humans, and they try to recruit you. Or the Order of the Flaming Rose also tries to recruit you since you're a Witcher. Being a Witcher means that you are human, however, you're more or less a mutant already because of all the mutagens that you drank and the trials that you went through that really changed and really enhanced you. You're quite far from being a regular tough guy. Okay, you're mutant tough guy. If you can imagine that better. So yeah, both the Scoia'tael and the Order of the Flaming Rose tries to recruit you, and based on your decision, the story would carry out differently as well. Now, for the ending, I'm not sure if the ending would change. I don't think the way that it ends changes actually because the final ending, I mean, the final ending of the story is really a setup for the sequel, the Witcher 2 game. So I don't think the overall ending changes. However, you would still feel the difference, I believe, if you choose a different path, especially with the Scoia'tael and the Order of the Flaming Rose. In my playthrough, I chose the Order of the Flaming Rose because the Scoia'tael were planning to burn down the city that I was in, and, well, Shawnee was there. Alright, so there's this kid named Alvin who survived an attack from one of the monsters, and apparently he gained the ability to see the future in his dreams and hear voices as well that sort of reflects the future or something, things like that. He sees things far off into the future, but it's difficult for him to handle. And spoiler, just one minor spoiler, he apparently can also teleport. So yeah, you'll find that out throughout the game anyway. So, and it's not something that you would be able to use as per my playthrough. With Alvin, you would either be choosing to hand him over to Shawnee, where Shawnee says that Alvin needs to live the life of a normal child as much as he can, or hand him over to Triss, where Triss wants to study Alvin's abilities more and how he's able to, have this clairvoyance, the ability to look into the future, or at least, I'm not sure if it's clairvoyance. if clairvoyance is the right term, but yeah, Alvin has the ability to look into the future. Can't control it that much, so there's that. I chose Shawnee. I handed Alvin to Shawnee, and that's basically it. Also, in terms of the romance, I chose Shawnee over Triss because Triss wasn't there. Triss was there in the start, but in the middle, or what I felt was the middle of the story, it was only Shawnee that was there, and she was there all the time, and she goes, "Oh, Gerald," and I'm like, "Yeah, I love you." So yeah, I gave Shawnee a ring, and basically I chose her for that playthrough's run. And well, Triss got mad. Anyway, yeah. Be careful of your decisions in the game. Make sure you know what path you want to take. This is a game that you can play through with the different choices, and I'm sure you would have fun. I do look forward to playing this again. Maybe before I play The Witcher 2, because, well, I do want to see what happens if I hand Alvin over to Triss and if I choose Triss as my love interest. But that would take a while. The game is quite long, which is very good. Very good bang for your buck. Next would be the combat. So there are 3 Witcher stances. You will get a tutorial for this at the start of the game. So I'll just mention it briefly. There's the strong, fast, and group stance. Strong stance do more damage. Fast stance execute your moves faster, and the group stance basically attack everyone in like a certain radius in front of you. Or sometimes it also hits people at your back, depending on the attack sequence and if they're close enough. Anyway, what I liked about the combat a lot is you can't spam it. You can't spam the attack button and execute, non-stop attacks. That's not how it works. You have to specify that you're going to attack someone or something, or a monster. Otherwise, the attack won't execute. And your attacks can also be deflected. So, yeah, I like it. You can't spam the attack button. I like RPGs or third-person action games where, yeah, you have to, be more cautious, or at least be more aware of what you're actually doing. You can't just go, berserk, dumb berserk in the game and start attacking everything around you and just win. You can't do that. Also, a tip, drawing your sword and using the fast style while running across the map will actually let you run faster than your normal speed if you run without drawing your sword. And I believe it's the fast style that allows you to run faster across the map. So that will be very helpful. Throughout the game, there are some fast travel. No. So I think you don't have to worry about it that much. And with me, I actually enjoy going back and forth. I like the areas of the game. The graphics, this is a very old game, so don't expect much from the graphics. I didn't mod the game. I like the graphics as it is. I don't really mind it. Some areas are very beautiful, especially when you look at I forgot the name of the area. It's sort of an island, and it's just water all around. And it's very beautiful, in my opinion, especially at a certain time of day. Which I forgot to mention. There are 4 times of day here. There's like the break of dawn, noon, sunset, and midnight, I believe. So yeah, you can get a lot of. If you want to go just sightseeing, just, change the time, the different, go to like different times, or meditate to a different, time of the day, and I'm sure you will enjoy it a lot. I did. I did that a lot during my playthrough. Just wanted to see the city or the forest in different times of day, and it's very fun. Oh, one more thing. At night, I believe, in the at midnight, you can kill civilians at midnight. Sometimes you can kill civilians in the day, but I believe it's only when a specific event is triggered or a specific part of the story is triggered. But throughout the game, as long as it's nighttime, you can kill civilians. I killed some civilians. I'm not proud. I was trying to do good, like to do all the good choices, and I just killed civilians. There is sort of like gambling in the game, and that you can make money through it. There's also like bar fights that you can do. I highly suggest that you do it. It's quite fun to. It's the only time where you get to fight with your fists. So yeah. There are also your Witcher spells or signs. There are 5 in the game. In the enhanced edition, I read that in the original edition of The Witcher 1, there were only 4. They didn't have Axii. So there are 5 signs. Ard, Igni, Irden, Can, and Axii. Ard is described as a sort of a telekinetic blast, but the sound effect, the way it looks, it's basically force lightning, if that's easier for you to understand. Because it does look like force lightning, and it's quite fun to use. I use Ard a lot to try and disarm people, armed individuals that I'm fighting. You can unlock some specific perks or abilities of those signs in your playthrough. As you level up and spend your skill points. Also, there is Igni. So Igni is fire. I use Igni the most actually because it's a radial attack. The base Igni attack is radial, so it hits a lot of people basically, or a lot of monsters at the same time. So yeah, I like that. And well, Ard can hit more than one enemy at a time. They have to be really close. With Igni, not really. So yeah, Igni everything, burn everything to the ground. There's also Irden. Irden is the trap. It's sort of a spell that you place on the ground, and it places a trap where if the monster comes, or if the monster touches that part of the ground, they cross through it. Spikes would, erupt. There's also Can. Can is the shield, which I barely use, just because there's a dodge roll. You can dodge, and I just prefer to dodge than use Can because I Igni everything again. And there is Axii. Axii is sort of a mind control thing. It calms your opponents, but as you unlock more abilities of Axii, as you sort of level it up through skill points, there is this perk or ability of Axii where you can basically turn a monster on your side. The monster would then attack the other monsters that are attacking you. However, it gets dispelled the moment you attack that monster that you got control of, or that is fighting for you. So I didn't use it that much given that I Igni everything. It gets hit with Igni, then the Axii wears off, and we're back to fighting that monster that I sort of conquered. Throughout the game, you can craft potions, mutagens, and bombs. And I crafted potions the most because I played on the hard mode. I didn't craft that many mutagens or bombs for the reason that some items are just very difficult to find. And I didn't really want to go back and forth through different areas simply for items. I like going back and forth to different areas for missions. I think that's very immersive. But for mutagens, not really that much. For the potions, yeah, you can loot a lot of areas. Basically just loot everything. However, you do come to a point where you run out of inventory. You have a limited inventory. However, you can hand over some. Well, actually, you can hand over a certain amount of your inventory to the in to the innkeepers. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you can you can hand them over some of your inventory, and then you can just go back and forth to any inn and get the things that you need if you need it. Or if you don't know what to do with something yet, just hand them over. Or you want to save something like you want to save a silver ring. Maybe you'll need it for some quest or something. I don't know. Yeah. Remember, there is fast travel in the game. You get to unlock it. So I think going back and forth is fine, but I didn't really want to go back and forth for mutagens only. Oh, something I forgot about the signs. Once you level them up enough, I believe you can charge the spells, and they would sort of act differently. With the sort of lightning spell, you can make it into a much wider range of an attack, because it's usually just one. It usually just hits one enemy. With Igni, it becomes a fireball that you can throw from a distance. So that's very cool, but I prefer my Igni to be radial. With Irden, I believe there's with Irden, it's difficult. I didn't use it that much. I believe you can like auto cast it, because when you cast Irden, normally you just leave the mark there, and if the enemy passes, then it activates. With the, I'm not sure if this is because of the full charge Irden, or I'll just place it in the gameplay. I don't want to talk about Irden anymore. Because I almost never use it. I don't want to say something that's, not true. I do believe, I think there's a perk, or maybe it's the full charge, where you can activate it instantly without having or in like a wider range or something like that. I don't know. With Can, well, you get, your shield, you get, more shield effectiveness, basically, before it disappears. That's the full charge of Can. With Axie, yeah, I'm completely not sure what the full charge of Axie is. I already forgot. I'll remember to place it maybe at the start of the video when I go record it. So yeah, overall, The Witcher isn't a casual game simply because of the decision making. I don't think RPGs, real RPGs where your decisions matter, is something for a casual gamer, because when I say casual gamer, I mean the pop in and out and you're good all the time. With The Witcher, it's really, sort of a gamer's game, if that makes sense. It's something very fun, but unless you do consider yourself a gamer, I don't think that you would be enjoying The Witcher that much, especially because I hear a lot of people don't really like the combat. I think casual gamers really won't like the combat because you can't spam it. You don't feel very powerful, even though, you're sort of feared in the story. The spells are quite simple as compared to other fantasy games. So I think that would be lacking for a casual gamer. yeah, overall, the combat isn't for casual gamers. That's what I would say. But, you know, if you enjoy it, then you enjoy it. I think it's a great game overall. I would highly recommend The Witcher 1 to anyone who's a gamer. To a casual gamer who just wants to have fun, I don't think that they would like Witcher 1, or maybe they'd get bored like 1/4 of the way through. There are a lot of things to do in the game. Some items are quite difficult to find. The fights in the latter half, or in the latter sections, especially near the end, requires you to fight multiple enemies at once. So it's also quite difficult, given that you would have to use the group style, and it's not very strong. So you have to plan things. And you can use Irden to place some traps, or just Igni everything. Igni has I believe it comes with a perk, or like when you level it up, Igni can like disrupt an opponent to like lower their guard, and then you can attack them. That's what I did the most in the game. So that's pretty much it. I highly recommend The Witcher 1 Enhanced Edition. I think it's a very good game. I love the side quests. The story, though it's only fairly average, the gameplay works very well for it. It's very engaging in my opinion. I love the decision making in the game and how it actually affects the story. You can run the game, at least twice. Like, do one run where you're completely good, do one run where you're an a-hole. And also, you can choose Shani on your first run, then you can choose Triss on your second run. Who would you choose to give Alvin to as well? That adds a lot of replayability for the game, so I suggest you get it. If you're the type of gamer that's not very casual, you're all right with not being overly powerful. You're all right with your spells being not completely magical, like you're not summoning lightning down from the sky and striking your opponents, things like that. You would completely enjoy this game. I just don't think that it's a casual game because you're not very powerful. Your decisions matter. You can't, BS you can't BS the decision making and then complain on how the story's going. Oh, why did this person die? I didn't want that. Some items are very difficult to find, especially those that requires the creation of mutagens. So that might turn you off because the mutagens are important to make yourself stronger. But I don't really use mutagens that much. I use it sometimes, but mostly just for fun. Really, I rely more on my on the Witcher fighting styles and the signs that I have. So, and yeah, ultimately what makes this a non-casual game is the combat. Given that you can't spam it, you really have to time your attacks as well. You can time your dodges, and sometimes your dodge just won't execute, so you have to parry or sort of defend yourself, and the defense is based on the style that you're using and the type of enemy in front of you. So you have to know those things going in. Rate The Witcher 1 Enhanced Edition as a 10 out of 10 for me personally. Objectively, I would say it's an 8 out of 10 because the combat can feel clunky, but it's a very old game. I think it's, it did the best it can for that era of gaming. So I don't think it's fair to deduct it points, but for that and the graphics, if I have to judge it objectively based on being fair with it, based on the era that it was made, I would say it's a 10 out of 10 outright. I love the game. It's a really sort of gamer's game, even though it's kind of a nonsensical thing to say, but we all know what that means. Yeah, I really like this game and I can't wait to play Witcher 2, but I'll play it